I got a note the other day that says, you come on here and you whine about how you're retired and you're, broke and this and that. Why didn't you save your money when you were working all your life? So first of all, I never said I was broke. And secondly, I don't come on here to whine. This is a YouTube video, and you're welcome to stay or welcome to go away. But I don't have to apologize for anything that I do. But if you really want to know, let me just tell you. So I got married at 26. I had my first child at 27, my second child at 28, and I was divorced by the time I was 29. I worked. I had my own little shop, jewelry store, and when my children were 4 and 5, they got kidnapped. And I spent a lot of my money hiring a private eye trying to find them. And when I did, I had to spend a lot of money going to where they were to bring them home. And I continued working in my shop. Of course, I was pretty much broke by that point. And then I had my daughter at 33. So I was raising 3 children by myself and trying to make the best that I could. I didn't have time to save because I had to buy clothes and shoes and food and everything else. So I finally settled down in North Carolina, and my children were kidnapped again for the second time. But this time, the problem was that I didn't have any money to go after them. I mean, I went to go pick them up from a daycare, and all I saw was a shoe. And I spent years looking for them. In the meantime, I moved to Ohio, and I was working and trying to find my boys. And when I did find them, I finally moved. I finally moved to where they were. Of course, I couldn't see them because my ex-husband sued me and said that, I was an unfit mother, and that if I wanted to see them, I'd have to be a year of residence in the state, and I should pay child support. Of course, I never got any child support from him, but in any event. So eventually I start seeing my children slowly. The youngest one didn't really recognize me. He hated me for a really long time because he didn't know who I was. The oldest one, he lost his faith in God because he said he prayed every night that I would come and get him, but I didn't. And the reason was I didn't know where they were. And their father said that I had died and I didn't want them. One or the other, I can't remember which. I think both. So anyway, I didn't really have time to save. Then when I got them back and we're all living again together, I was working 2, 3 jobs, trying to start fresh in a new state with 3 children, no child support. And I worked. That's all I did was work. I tried to raise my children the best that I could. I allowed them to stay at home as long as they wanted to, and they did. So I was, 53 by the time all the children have left my home, and I continued working. I tried to save a little bit in my 401k and a little bit on the side. And then in 2014, my father got very ill, and I had to go take care of him. And I took care of him for 3 months, and I didn't know how long he was going to live, so I took early retirement. I was 62, and to take care of him. And of course, he died like 3 months later. So here I was. I had to move my mom closer to us, and I helped her sell her house and move her close, and pretty much took care of her. You know, I, I would. She didn't want to live with me, but I did go out to see her 3 or 4 times a week, and she died in 2023. So here we are to this day. And finally, when I retired from my other job that I worked at, I had a little bit of savings, and I bought a little motorhome so that I could travel with my grandson. He was in Boy Scouts, and I got tired of putting up a tent, so I spent a little bit of money, and bought a used motorhome, and we traveled a little bit here and there. And then 2 things happened. I got injured. I fell off of an electric bike and fractured my pelvis and my knee. So I was out of work again in a wheelchair for 6 months. Then when I finally got back on my feet, I went back to work at this dry cleaner where I worked for the past 5 years. And of course, they paid me $14 an hour. And I spent all my money on trying to stay above board when I was, broken. And I've lived here 14 years, and I've never asked for a penny from anybody. The little bit of money that I had, I made it stretch as far as I could. And here we are. So yes, now I'm fully retired. I have no savings, or the little bit that I have isn't going to last very long. And I was rejected for Medicaid. I have Medicare, but I was rejected for Medicare, the extra help that helps you pay for Part B. And so this is my story. And so if you want to judge me, go right ahead and do it. But not everybody can be wealthy, or in the military with a high retirement or a high pension. Some of us actually had a real life. And so this is why I'm on here, and I'm hoping that what I say and what I bring out to light will help others, maybe some young person, or somebody else that can save their money and have a great retirement and not struggle. So go ahead, you be the judge. And don't let the door hit you in the butt.